was about to say, Anna, when is Alawana coming?
That's right, yeah. We're a bit delayed today, but hi, Shame, we're here. We're out here.
Welcome to
The Gabfest.
I like how that became
An intro.
an intro, because I used to do it all the time, and then since you said it, I didn't notice, and now it's just what do you call it when
That's
more
our
than one
jingle.
person sings?
It's viral now between the three of us.
What do you call that when more than one person, a duet? No?
Yes.
Okay,
Amen.
we're there. We're learning. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode
Been a
of...
minute though, guys. So
Hey?
it's been a minute, so we're
Yeah.
excited to see everybody else.
Yeah? Are we excited?
I am.
think
Hi, Shame.
so.
I'm excited.
I'm excited, Shame. I was telling Clea I haven't been feeling the greatest the past few shows, but I'm trying my best to get the
oomph back.
oomph back. Yeah, so I'm
got
happy you're
this.
excited. It makes me a bit excited.
Shame, I am. I mean, last week we had our own trials and tribulations. Shame, guys. We'll go into that just now. But having missed the show, a couple of people did text to ask, like, what's up? Where you guys? What's happening?
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like, hey, people are listening to us.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it gives me
That
that.
makes me happy.
It does make me happy too.
How was your week?
Ooh, life is
Your
lifing.
2 weeks, we
Life
haven't
is
seen you.
lifing. That's all I can say. Like, it's hectic, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm blessed. That's all I can say. And I must thank Jay for that, because the one day I came, he's like, "How are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm surviving." He's like, "No, you must say I'm beaming."
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. It's all
Yeah,
about the mindset.
he's got a way of shushing you up for the day.
Yeah.
Evangelique, how was your week?
My week was good. Was it good? Yeah. I'm trying to think, wait, what did you do this week? My week has been, like I'm saying, I've been going through a lot of uhs and
Ups and downs
and so I'm waiting for the whoo. How was
As
your
it
week?
goes, yeah.
As it goes, but it's gonna come. Just give it some time. It's winter season, guys. Let's give it that. But it's not winter all
It's
year
winter
round.
season.
Yeah. It's not winter all year round. We've got 1 month to go, so let's go with a month. The seasons of the year. For this one.
I feel you.
Spring is about to come. I think for me, my life has been a whirlwind for the last 2 weeks. My little one was sick, and now I'm midstream conference planning. So I've got 1 week to go to conference planning. So wish me luck, guys. I feel like a headless chicken.
Wish me
You
luck.
got this.
Sorry, I'm just typing in there quickly. So, we were busy speaking about this is how I actually came up with today's topic and everything. And Jess, you didn't put the thing on today, the back screen, but it's fine. It's fine.
We out here.
We out here trying to, I always look there to remember what to say next. But anyway, today we are speaking about me, myself, and I. When I thought about that, I was like, have you watched Me, Myself, and Irene? When I asked Jesse, he's like, no, I don't know. Then I was like, oh, is you too young for Me, Myself,
his
and
Too
I?
young for him, yeah. I purposely didn't watch it. If I don't like the actor, I don't watch
Jim,
it.
I don't do a Jim either. If Jim is on, I change the channel. He's so irritating.
I
I'm
love
trying
him.
Supersonic so hard to watch it with the kids.
Yeah.
The minute he walks in, there's just...
There's certain,
That's a weird character for him.
certain movies I can watch, certain movies I
I
can't.
can't. It's one of those things where there's certain comedy I can't... That just does not grip me.
What about Yes Man?
I can't.
I
I watched
did
it, but I didn't... I'm not going to say I enjoyed
Even
it.
Bruce Almighty, I love.
Bruce
Even
Almighty,
I can't
I did
say
like
I
that
enjoyed
one.
it.
I mean, there's just some actors, like let's say Ben Stiller's, like he tries to make me watch movies. I can't. It's just...
Okay, I get that.
It's just not a movie I'll watch.
I
Because
like that
I don't
with
like the-
Kevin Hart.
I like it. Hi, Shane. With Kevin Hart, his movie, that serious role where he played with the...
Fatherhood.
No.
Or was it when he was looking after that guy?
Yeah. That's where you really can see
But
his
that's
acting.
like now the other day.
Yeah. That's where you really can see his acting ability. And that he's
Yeah.
actually a brilliant actor.
And not just
And that's
comedy.
where I fell in love with him. So
I
Shane,
don't
do
take
watch
it
him
away
now.
from him. Talent is talent. But in terms of there's some people
When they just speak too much. Like,
I
it's just
can't
too
like
much.
there's the girl version of him as well. What's her name? She's also
Oh, Tiffany.
Yes, I
Tiffany
can't watch
Haddish
any
is
movie
I can-
with her in
I can
either.
watch Tiffany Haddish. It depends on what movie
The new
it
one
is.
on Netflix also. I'm just like
What, Boss Girl or something like that.
no. it, I don't know. It came out.
Did you
now.
see that?
It's
There
number
was
8
also
or
that movie
something.
they were doing something about where they were doing makeup.
It's
I
that
cringed
one.
that
Yeah,
entire
I couldn't
movie.
watch it. Yeah, I couldn't watch it either.
No, I
It's,
don't know that.
it's with Salma
I
Hayek.
feel like when they
Oh,
try and
I
make
watched
movies
it, I
about
watched
those
it.
things, it just
It's-
Also, when I'm cringing in the middle of a movie, I switch it off because, like, I'm like, I feel for you. This
I wish
movie's
I
just
could
not
do
working
that.
for me. I switch it off.
I waste my whole 2.5 hours.
No.
I
you
also
see that-
wasted. If I start something the other day, I asked Anka, can I put this movie on? Let's watch it. It's English because you only watch English. And the whole time she's not paying attention. She's on her phone, and I'm like,
'Cause I can't
can I
get in
change the scene that you're not watching it? But I'm telling you, the minute she left, it bothered me that I didn't know how it ended.
Yeah,
I went
so you
to
put
go
it back
watch
on.
it.
Like, I can't watch, like, if the acting is bad, I can watch a bad storyline, but
Yeah.
I can't watch bad acting
Okay.
and bad producing either.
I get that.
So then it just throws me off completely, and then it irritates me. Like, the shots irritate me, and the act, like, really, how did that even seem real to you when you put this together? So
Yeah.
I can't. I just switch it off. I don't waste my time. I
Or when
can't.
in a scene, somebody's wearing a pink suit, and then the exact same scene from a different angle, the suit is grey, and you're like, guys, do you not
Did you not-
remember what color it was?
Seriously.
Listen to us sounding like film critics over here.
Like, Xavier does it to irritate me. It's like, maybe I've got a movie for us, we're gonna have a movie night. And he puts on the movie and it's got this hella long intro. I'm like, I know where this is going. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
And the movie starts like a barbershop like scene, but the guy is busy like shaving their head, but they're busy chatting. You know the barbershop scene where they're busy
Yeah.
chatting? But he's shaving past the head. He's not even touching the head. I'm like, you did this to purposely irritate me and waste my time. Put it off.
With Ashley, if it doesn't have the lion in the beginning,
Oh yeah.
he doesn't want to watch it.
Yes.
So that's how we
What
choose
is the
a
name
movie.
of that company?
I don't know, but if it's just something he's never seen before, he's like, I'm like, can we at least get 10 minutes in to see if the quality is nice or something? He's like, I can already tell.
How does he feel about your Korean stuff that you watch?
He just says, how can you watch this? How do you call this acting? How do you? It's just like, I'm like, give it a chance. But there's a series together, but it's more reality. It's when two guys, the one guy is from South Korea and the other guy is from China, and they actually, I think that is really cool because they're both famous in their cities, in their countries,
Okay.
kind of a thing. So what happens is, like, let's say the three of us, you maybe Jasper, who is the Chinese guy's fan, and I'm the Korean's fan, and you maybe Jasper's again. They have to, like, go to, if it was South Africa, they go to Cape Town, and in
Oh.
Cape Town, they must maybe climb Table Mountain. When they get to the top of Table Mountain, they get a piece of the puzzle. When
Okay.
they
Almost
do,
like Amazing Race, but
almost
like,
but it's only tourist attractions within Asia. And then when they get the whole puzzle, it's actually the dress of their fan, and then they get to have
Wow.
supper with the fan at your house.
that's
so
pretty
cool.
cool.
But
yeah.
what was cool is Ashley liked it because they're so funny, and because the one can't speak, they can't. Like, obviously Korean, he couldn't speak Chinese, the Chinese guy couldn't speak Korean, and both of them have like 10% of English. So
Wow.
what makes it so interesting
Challenge.
and funny is that how they try to communicate,
Yeah.
and then the other guy's like, yeah, but then
They don't
nobody knows
understand.
what the next move is. But yeah. So me, myself, and I. So basically, like I was saying, there's so many times we always consider people around us. We always consider what makes you happy. Whether it's in business, you think, what can the next person afford? Whether it's in, no matter what it is, basically, like you look at your pockets and you're like, I know my work is worth this much. I know my clothing is worth this much, but my target market only has this much. And how you kind of set yourself up, I don't want to say for failure, but I want to say that as
You
a
put
person,
restrictions.
you restrictions for yourself, your self-worth or like your self-value versus your self-destruction,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So I'm not sure you're still going to say from which angle you're coming from, but I know you said you really want to come from the angle of a self-awareness. When I said, if you think about yourself, what is the one thing that stands out the most for you? And you said self-awareness. Do you want to share a bit?
I answered that way because I feel like being aware of myself has improved a lot of things for me, and it's like rippled into other areas of my life, because like when you're self-aware, it's not like you're paying attention to like how you really are, and not like the story you tell yourself about who you are. Like, you know, sometimes you can have like these toxic behaviors and or bad habits, and you try and like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like make an excuse for it.
Yeah, you're trying
Yeah.
to justify.
Justify is the word. Yes, thank you, Anka. And sometimes you just need to be real with yourself. And yeah, it's not easy. It's very painful sometimes, but for me, that's what has made the biggest difference.
Okay. And you, have you thought about, if you think about yourself, what is the one thing that stands out, whether positive, whether negative, anything just in terms of self?
I think for me, what has stood out for me a lot and stands out for me most days, and I think this is why I chose my look today, is the insecurities. So many times you have this facade of being confident, but then when you're in the presence of certain people and you leave, then you realize, oh snap, I'm actually insecure, but I'm not sure why I'm insecure, because the conversation you have going in and leaving that conversation, then you're like, why was I that insecure going in? Or why am I feeling a certain way about the conversation, or
Yeah.
about how I looked physically going into this conversation?
Yeah.
And I think that for me is a big thing. I had that experience this very week, and then me and Xavier had a conversation, and he was like, and I was busy putting stuff together, like things he told me and things in the conversation. I'm like, but Mara, eintlik, you actually have heavy insecurities, and you actually you underestimate your self-worth. And for me, like guys, I've always said this, balance the equation is so important, but it's difficult to find that balance so many times, because you don't want to appear arrogant, you don't want to appear conceited or whatever, but you want to appear a level of composed, or you know,
Yeah.
or confident.
And I feel like, sorry, can I
No,
just
go.
jump in there quickly? I do feel like confidence rubs off on people.
Does.
And if we kind of like tie it into self-awareness, there's people that have, or maybe just it's a female thing as well, some males. If you are feeling insecure, some people project that onto other people.
Yeah.
Like, instead of just holding up a mirror and like trying to figure out why they feel triggered by somebody, instead of just admitting like,
There
And
was
being
something-
self-aware, yeah.
this person maybe has something that I wish I had, and instead of complimenting them, I'm like,
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think we as women make a mistake. Many a times, if you see somebody having something that you desire, it turns into a, but how did she get it?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And you don't think about, even if women, I always say, even if people get success in a weird way, they work really hard,
to
even
maintain
in
it.
there.
Regardless, yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what their morals was, getting there, the walk they walked was still not an easy walk.
For me, I always say this. I respect the hustle, like, because the reality of the matter, it is a tough world out there, and we are all adults out here. We know what it takes. So when it comes to certain things like that, I say I respect the hustle. I don't like A, B, C, and D, but I respect.
But I respect the hustle. Yeah. I was just like, I don't like 1, 2, and 3, but
I respect the
I
hustle.
can learn something from you,
You know.
kind of a thing. But yeah, so for me, I thought about the self-worth. That's one thing that I really struggle with, is my self-worth, because like you were saying also, sometimes you walk into a room and you do the whole comparing thing, or maybe in the situation you don't realize you're doing it,
Yeah.
and then when you get home you're actually like, but I can A, B, and C.
Yeah.
They don't have the experience, they this or you this, and you start comparing, am I not worthy of that kind of blessing, am I not worthy of those kind of things?
You're not doing it in a negative way. You're not doing it to put the other person down. You're literally doing that comparison in your mind to like sort of like scope where you are at, and then when you do mention the stuff that you have, but I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. I think it's just a matter of, it's not negatively imposing on the other person, but really just giving yourself also a boost to say, okay, fine,
yeah,
but Mara eintlik, you
Why
can bring
can't I?
something to the table.
I
you
can
know.
also, yeah, I get that.
Get that. Okay, so I'm gonna share something like about me, and then we'll just go like, Cleo says she really feels this today is going to flow because
Yeah.
it's about but sometimes when you speak about yourself, that's
It's
when
not
it
that
doesn't
easy.
flow, because now you start thinking about maybe that's my problem kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I was saying, like, I just made a few notes based on like why self-worth and what it like how I got to the point where I realized, okay, something needs to happen in order for me to change my mindset and certain things like that. So I thought about me as a mother, right? And I thought about the confidence, bringing in that part as well. The confidence I had when I got married versus the confidence of the kids. And are you worth your then dream that you had before? And I thought about it like I was a go-getter. If I want something, I'm going to do it now. And then it kind of, life happens, things happen. You bath the kids every day. You
The humdrum of everyday life.
You put the kids to bed. You feed the kids. You wash, you iron, you pack. It's
fall
breakfast,
asleep when
it's
the kids
lunch,
fall
it's dinner, it's the cleaning. So for me, I haven't had a helper since Scarlett was 2. Yeah. She was
Just
2
before
years old,
2.
Just before 2. That was the last time I had a helper. And everything else after that was your responsibility as a woman. So if the house is dirty, it's because I didn't clean. If there's dishes in the sink, it's because I didn't wash the dishes. If there's no clean clothes like this week, it's because I did not do the washing, kind of a things. And those things slowly took away my identity, if I can put it that way, because when it's time to do you feel like,
do you even have time?
I just want to sleep. I just want to all those kind of things. And then it gets to the point where I lost my creativity. So I was somebody that was really creative. If I wanted a chair, I can go to Boulders, I buy myself wood, I make a chair. Everything I did was like that. And I felt that as time went, I lost that about myself. I used to find pleasure in painting and, doing random things. And slowly things started disappearing. Then I thought to myself, like, what is it that this happened? And obviously, it's not you saying, oh, I'm just finished with life. When it does now feel like, oh, I'm finished with life. But when it started coming to my mind, as in, this actually bothers me, was the fact when you realize in your marriage, or like with me, with my marriage, that you're no longer the same person you used to be, because now you're miserable 24/7 because you've been cleaning, you've been shouting kids the whole day, you've been doing all these things. And it gets to a point where your partner doesn't understand why you that miserable, or why you're not feeling well.
Why are you always looking for an argument?
Why are you always looking? But the matter of the fact is that you just want peace for a little bit. And as much as I say my worth, I kind of feeling like I don't deserve better than this. As a woman, is my worth just to do this, just to make sure my husband is happy, even if I'm not pleased with him doing something. Am I just supposed to smile because, do you know what I'm trying to say? And that's where I'm saying self-worth. You want to add some little something because it looks like you're just like waiting for your chance to jump in.
The wheels are turning.
I'm thinking because some of it resonates, because you do get to a point where you do feel, and I have told my kid, leave me alone, and then I've gotten to that point. It's like, give me space, because you do get to a space where you really just want to breathe, where you really just, because you and you do compare yourself, whether it be subconsciously or what. So you go into Instagram and you see these mothers, and they're happening, their nails are done, they're driving, and they're thriving. The word you used.
But they're driving nice cars as well.
Nice cars, they are. And they're bearing in mind, you subconsciously, you do know that you only see the good parts on Instagram, that there is the untidy parts that is just not captured.
Of course.
But you find that you do, why don't I get to the point where I can at least take a fake it picture? Like, why don't I get to that point? Because you don't always get to get your nails done, because you have to think,
fake it picture.
And that in itself takes a lot of effort.
It takes effort. It takes effort. Like, you have to do your makeup, and I'm like, by the time I'm like, just drop it, I'll put on the rice, I'll get the water boiling, that kind of thing. And one thing I must say that I think that has alleviated my situation is my husband doesn't expect me to cook, so I rarely cook. I'll boil water for him, high shame. But it does, certain things do help alleviate, but there's still a ton of other things, because you have to be Togo, you have to be Mrs., you have to be mommy, you have to be all those
people. You still have to be your friend.
And you have to be, I don't even have friends. I shame guys. That hat is non-existent by me.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the time. I don't think I know how to be one either.
Mm.
I don't know what to say in conversation because I'll tell you about my kids. I'll tell you about what my day was, how I was
Yeah.
washing the floor, how I did.
I was gonna say after when you guys are done, I'm gonna come through for the kidless and unmarried women.
Yes, come through for them.
Yes, come through. So you find it difficult to balance. And I mean, I try to, I have my side hustle on the, so where do you breathe? Where do you breathe? Like, where do you find, and you do find, you come to yourself and you said, I always tell myself, I won't be the mother with the bun and the dirty shirt and the, you know,
Yeah.
that let myself go. And sometimes you find yourself there because
Being that mother.
it's the reality. And you're like, hi, shame, I'm sorry for judging because you understand the dynamics behind it. But it makes you feel like, how come I don't have my stuff together? The child needs to go to school. There's no lunch packed. And my child doesn't eat my food. That makes me feel even worse than worse of a mother. So all those dynamics, it makes you feel like, how am I really worthy? Am I really
Yeah.
worth it?
Is that also where like a lot of that mom guilt comes from? Like if you feel like, actually I want to look nice today, and then you start dressing up and stuff, and then you realize, okay, wait, I haven't packed lunch, or I haven't helped this child
I
with
think the
schoolwork
mom
or
guilt
homework.
comes more in with the, like I was saying, you build up a lot of anger that needs to come out. And then the mom guilt, I feel, comes in where the child innocently does something
And it's
and
just
you blow.
unleashed.
Yeah.
And afterwards you're like, that was not necessary in any way. I feel like for me personally, that's where more my guilt comes into.
Okay, I get
My
that.
daughter and my son, if I look good, they tell me, Mama, you look nice today, and that makes you feel good.
that's
So my guilt doesn't come in terms of that, but more so I could have kept that in, or just
It's not
waited
meant
until
for them.
exactly.
Someone gave me a family member actually. She she has lots of kids now, and she
Now.
now it's like it's just a now, like everybody's in it. And she said, you know what, after this conference you need to take a time out, take a 2-day something time out, because when she takes a break she doesn't get upset with the kids, and it makes sense because you've got your woosah moment, you really do. But the reality of the matter is that the reality we live in, we don't have woosah moments because you just have to.
Because when you're not with the kids, you're actually at work. And when you're not at work, you're prepping for tonight.
You're prepping for tonight. So I have Mondays off and I have Thursdays off. But how many of us out here know that housework is not being off? Doing
Yeah,
laundry,
there's
doing
never an
house,
off
it's
day.
not off. I mean, that's harder. I'd rather come into the office. I don't like doing housework.
And you get adult conversation.
Yeah, and you get adult conversation, you know. I do like my alone time now and then, just to switch off. No one in the house. Like, I'm melancholy like that. But that rarely ever happens because you always have to constantly be on the go, because when Xavier comes home, there must be food or it must be clean. And when I say there must be food, I'm saying a sandwich or dry rice or something. I'm not saying a cooked meal. I'm just saying something for his belly, or the kids rather. And then you have the kids swooping in, and they're at that stage where they're bickering constantly. They get into the car, they
guys, I
fight.
will never.
They'll be every 5 minutes, then they're in the bedroom, then they love each other. Then they're in the bathroom, then they're busy pulling each other's hair. I'm like, guys, leave me alone, leave me alone. And I voice that. And then after that, when you say that, you're like, I shame, maybe I should.
Wasn't-
And that's why I saw this meme once that said, on Father's Day, dads are like, I just want to spend the day with my family. And on Mother's Day, the mothers are like, I want to be alone.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
talk to
my
me.
gift.
That is a gift. You know why? Because on Mother's Day, we still have to stand around cooking. Like,
True.
we still have to cook. We still have to,
No
do
off days.
things. There's-
Yeah.
There's no... Explain this concept to me. Anybody who understands this off-day concept, explain it to me so I can understand and fathom it. I mean, before we were married, I think for me, I think I built more confidence after I got married, because you sort of learned a few tricks along the way. And in many conversations I've said before that I'm not a homebody. So I'm not that person that's got my kids' stuff like well prepared, and I know what lunches my kids eat, so I've always got that in the fridge. Like, I'll come home like this afternoon, so what's happening? Oops, I don't have fish fingers, I don't have, maybe we must either go to Ma or go to the shop, because the shop is like
Further.
like much further, so you'd rather do a pit stop by Ma because it's right
Yeah.
there. So I'm not that well put together mother. Like, even I had to have this long conversation with my child's teacher yesterday, just asking her, what food must I make this child? Because this child wants dry bread. I can't just send it to school with dry bread. So we're busy there, panning it out. And it makes you feel inadequate because you're like, really? Isn't this what a mother's supposed to just know? Isn't this what a mother's just supposed to put
Yeah.
together? I don't know. Maybe it's just
And
me.
you've been momming, like, do you
been
never
momming.
get to the point? Oh, guys, you make me worried about
Your
having
child
kids.
ages every day. It's different.
It's
So
different
from
every
a
day.
single perspective, like not married with kids.
Yeah.
What's your take? You were saying you're gonna
On
come in
self-worth.
now. Yeah.
I feel like with self-worth, you have to be very present in your life and in your body, and you need to think about or take note of how you feel after you leave certain people, because like sometimes you can be surrounded by people and once you leave you're like so drained and you don't realize it, and you don't realize that this is the impact that that person is having on you. So it's more about, for me, like learning how to put yourself first without feeling bad about it, because I feel like also as women we feel
Yeah.
like we're being selfish if we're doing things for ourselves. And I think that's why maybe this whole self-love movement started, although we're very off balance with that, because now I feel like people are
On a selfish tip.
and it's like
Over self-love.
very like there's no balance, and we're quick to like cancel people. And I even saw this video the other day where this guy was speaking about red flags, and he's like, a red flag is not always a reason to leave a relationship or
Everybody has a red flag, but
Yeah.
there's some flags that's the size
okay,
of a
yes,
mountain.
yes, no, they are
There's
deal
just
breakers.
stop flags.
Yeah,
Just stop flags.
but sometimes you're able to work through things.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I don't know if I'm ready to speak about this.
When you're ready.
When you're
Okay,
ready,
yeah.
but we're here to listen.
Yeah, okay, wait, not now.
Okay.
Because I start crying. Where's the tissues?
I think certain red flags, yes, you can, and I always say this when it comes to relationship, and especially before marriage, if you're planning on staying with this person, make sure those red flags are seen to, are addressed, and you work it out before you get married. So yes, a red flag is, I wouldn't say it's like a deal breaker.
Yeah.
But it's a deal
But it
breaker.
needs to be worked out
It needs
because
to be worked out.
one biggest misconception about marriage is that when you get married,
All that
it
goes
starts
away.
over. Yeah, it's like people
not
think
magic
there's
potion.
a magic potion.
Yeah, that wedding is just like a spell. Like,
a spell.
Yeah.
Like, so if somebody cheated before, they think the ring is going to stop the cheating. If somebody disrespected you in a certain way, they
Yeah.
think that when we're married, the respect comes, all those kind of things.
and they always say that the red flags you see in the beginning is going to be the reason you leave. At
You're
the
gonna
end.
leave, and I always say this: marriage amplifies. It makes it worse.
Yeah, because you're in each other's faces 24.
That, and also you'll be told you found me like this and
Yes.
you married me like this, so why must I
Okay,
change
you see now
now?
this is where this whole self comes in. I feel like because when you have this like self awareness and what was self worth and like all your insecurities and stuff, you need to work on that as a person for it to improve your relationship. You
It-
can't
you
just
do.
be pointing out,
Yeah, it
okay,
can't
why
just
are
be
you
anybody
doing
else,
this? You-
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So with me, exactly what you're saying now is that in my marriage, we got to the point where we were like, so should we just leave this? Because we both tired. We both don't want to come home to a Nora every day. I don't want to come home to somebody that doesn't see my worth, because like I was saying with everything I was mentioning just now, there's many things as women, you lose your worth in terms of you're not appreciated for the things you don't get paid for. So like somebody that's doing washing and somebody that's doing meals
not
and
lekker.
all of those things.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid for those things. And somehow society has made it that worth is in the finance side of it. So
I don't like that.
I'm only worthy for the amount I bring home. And then after that, it's your problem. You are a mother, you're supposed to do that. You are like,
It's an
it's
expectation.
an expectation.
Yeah.
Like we always speak about those memes that say, the dad was with the kids today, but he's calling it babysitting.
Yes.
It's like, so am I
No,
babysitting
you
every single day?
parenting.
Yeah.
And even that as a whole, because I mean, to get an au pair is like 15,000 Rand in South Africa, but me as a mother that's with the kids every single day, you don't get like a set 15,000 per child.
Yeah.
But that's just it. Like we legit work a minimum of 4 jobs, being paid for one if we are working a corporate job. Because cleaning is what someone would be paid to do there. Your child goes to school, which means, and our children are in aftercare, which means it's the whole day. If I'm at home holidays, that means I am doing someone else's job. I'm not saying
And homework
monetary
and all those
homework.
things.
I'm just saying the amount of work that we have to do. And then, I mean, if I wife, people get paid for services.
Wife allowance.
And that,
Is Xavier listening?
that's a lot. No, she means so as a wife giving
The exotic
the
treatment.
exotic treatment.
Oh,
There's
snap.
people that pay for that. So
I'm just saying.
Why does those jokes always go over my head?
So that's already 3 jobs, ne?
Yeah.
And then
there's a chef.
yeah, and then I must cook and I must clean. So there's a lot of jobs that you're
Yeah.
doing, and it's one person. And I was reading the other thing, this thing this morning where it says that if you're going to choose a wife that's working, don't expect it to be a full time at home in terms of an all rounder.
Yeah.
And I had to come to a point. There was a time when I was really, I think after my firstborn was born, I went into that postnatal depression phase. And you're just not getting it. You're not getting the dishes done. You're not getting the house clean. People come in and you don't want people in your house because you don't want people to think you're dirty. And it's not that. You're just trying to mom. You're just trying to love. You're just trying to swim.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you're like, people love here. Sometimes it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
There's small kids running around. Yeah, their beds are not always going to be made. There's not always going to be laundry done because guess what? My child was crying and throwing a tantrum. I needed to give my child attention. Or my child needed to be in the bath. Or my child was sick. My husband needed something at that point in time. You're not always going to be on top of it. And the dishes are not always going to be clean. And the floor's not always going to be clean when some random guest comes to visit.
Yeah.
You're not always going to have juice or
Yes,
snacks in
we
your
need to
cupboard.
work on that as a collective, though.
Yeah.
Like, if we can just stop being judgmental,
About but that's
everyone's
why
lives will be so much easier.
I really like the TikToks and the reels that's like becoming more a thing. Can we normalize normal houses?
Yes.
Yes.
So where they show what normal houses actually look like and not just this all white house and the couch looks like nobody's
Yeah.
ever sat on it
It's
before.
not a museum,
and
guys. It's a house. People
They're
love
living
here.
there.
No, I
Yeah.
love that. And especially like you speaking about the TikToks, I've been seeing a lot of people that are like showing their first apartment, like tiny home, like lived in.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like something out of a magazine. And just by reading the comments,
You see people saying, "Oh, did you see how your kitchen is dirty? That's not a normal
No,
house."
not those
And
negative
I've
stuff.
seen those
I
ones, and
haven't
I'm
seen
like,
that. Is.
"How's this kitchen dirty?"
yeah,
We
like
love here.
people were actually so, what's the word, inspired by that, because I feel like especially if you haven't moved into that stage of your life yet, you have all this pressure because you're telling yourself like it needs to look like this and like this and like this, instead of just enjoying the process, because it's for me it's been an enjoyable process, like moving out and like building your own space. Stressful, but
But doing
fun.
it.
And what you'll find is that in every sphere of your life, the slightest change throws things off balance, which means you now need to recalibrate and you now need to rework out your routines. What happened was just as soon as I got into routine with Ava, then Taya came. There, I'm back into that slump again. Now I'm trying to swim again, trying to just work things out and position things in my life. Now only after 5 years of my second child, now I've got a routine. Now they're a bit more independent, and that now I've got more
I
routines.
think that also makes it easier
It
when
makes it
they're
easier.
able to start doing things on their own.
yeah.
Because now they're more independent. They're helping you out. Like when Ava's at home, Madam Fifi's picking out, packing out the dishwasher, or she's busy sweeping the floor, and she makes up the beds in the mornings, which is something for me that was always like a pet peeve. Like just make up the beds.
Yeah.
But half the time we'll leave the house, then there's
No beds are made up.
no beds are made up, because and then Xavier has this tendency to bring someone home, and I could flip the script like, guys, like this, but people are just they're not gonna think you dirty, they're gonna think your wife's like
yeah,
Yeah,
your
why do
wife is
people
not
always
keeping
do
it
that?
up to standard.
yeah, and then we have this argument and whatnot. So we had a young podcast with a different pastor couple, and we also had this conversation. And the reality is, this is who we are as women, because really we as women, we judge each other when we walk into each other's
Yeah.
homes. Let's be honest with one another.
But
and
let's
then,
be honest, the men do it as well.
As well, you
We've
do
gone
get
to a few places,
is.
not taking Ashley out or anything, but many a times then you'd hear, can she leave the place like that? Can she?
Yeah.
And
There is
then in my
commentary.
head, I go, excuse me, you don't know, did she have a good night's
Night.
rest last night?
you don't know what the situation
And I
was.
mean, we were sitting there for so many hours. Did the guy get up once to do A, B, and C? So there's always that comparison as
Yeah.
well.
There is, and I find myself, I lash out at Xavier, and then we have this big argument. And then, like last night, I said to him, "Would you, when you bath, just pick up, because all men do this, guys. All men do this. They will take the clothes and they'll put it either next to the washing basket, or on top of the washing basket, or behind the door. So I said to him, it makes me feel like you're disrespecting me, because there is no, I am the Togo right here. I am the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
I am it, And then when I walked up, it's his responsibility to wash the kids. He's washed the kids, and my bathroom's clean, and there's no clothes lying on the floor. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you have to voice your opinion.
You have to, in a nice way, but it didn't come out that earlier like that. It came
Yeah.
out louder earlier.
Yeah.
But last night it was like, it makes me feel disrespected, because
Yeah.
who else is there? There is no fairies living in
But
here.
does it
Kids
not
are gonna
come
do
out
it.
aggressively because you've been saying it?
It
Or,
does, but they don't read it like that.
yeah, then they say like,
Why are you
someone's
arguing?
nagging.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why are you
you're
nagging?
nagging.
Why are you
Yeah.
arguing? So I said to him,
Tracy out there being like,
Yeah.
we're not nagging. We're not nagging.
But also sometimes it gets to a point where you suppress how you feel because it's like,
Because you
Just
see
you
no
should
change.
know.
just keep the peace. Like
Yeah.
let's just because
And
you know
then it just-
the words in my house is always, why must you upset the atmosphere? I'm like, you know what? Everything has a root.
That
Yeah.
your aura.
Like, it has a root. And if you stop doing this one thing, you won't get the same reaction. In fact, you won't
Yes.
get a worse reaction. So let's stop it
I
at
like
the root.
that. I like that reel also that says what foreplay actually is for women.
Yes.
It's you getting up, making me coffee in the
Yeah.
morning, helping with the dishes, all those kind of things. Don't just jump next to me when I feel your hand on my boat.
Yeah, it's true. And I think for me the therapy was, I know this sounds petty, but hear me out. I just didn't do whatever was on Xavier's side. So I made him get irritated in his own space.
Uncle.
It
Did you
worked.
see this?
But
It
sometimes you have
It
to.
worked.
But did you see there's a lady that actually went viral? I think it was last month that said, my husband says I'm not cleaning up. And now I decided for
To
3
stop
weeks
doing
to
it.
stop
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
And she literally left the house for 3 weeks and it looked like a mess because he said it's not his dirt, it's hers. So
Yeah.
she only started washing her own dishes, doing her own clothes and things. And 3 weeks later, he moved out and said he can't live in such a dirty house.
And it's not
Oh, I didn't
her.
know that happened.
But you get what I'm saying? I don't think they realize it because it's not
It
intentional.
was a holiday.
They-
Sorry, it wasn't like I'm leaving.
Yeah, because they're saying like, I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm like, okay, it's not intentionally, but you're still doing it. So let's intentionally stop doing it.
Yeah.
So what I did was on his side of the bed, I'd leave everything, and then I'll do the washing, and then he wouldn't have clothes to wear. So I said to him, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. If you pick it up, then you put it in there. I'm not trying to be petty. I'm trying to show you the frustrations that I'm going
Yeah.
through. So
I get that because that was something I also used to do is like you voice it, but people can only understand from their own perspective.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to do that, like
When
not
you-
petty, but like
Yeah.
you have to do what.
because the way we were raised is like, it's not tit for tat. Because he did this, now you're going to do
Yeah.
it. It's not that. Like in the mornings, I'll get up, I'll make him, even if I'm upset, even though I feel like I'm going to push him off the bed, I'll make his coffee and I'll put it next to him. But it was a matter of, and then there was a time when he was at home for a while and he started cleaning. So then I'd leave my shoes on the floor and he'd get livid. He'd get
Yeah.
so livid. In the car, I have all my shoes and everything going in the car. A shame that still happens. But that's not the point.
Hey, outfits there.
And he gets irritated to say, the way you feel about your car is the way I feel about my house. So you're like, yeah, the kids are just, I'm like, you see, the kids are doing all these things with me too.
So you're getting irritated.
So let's help each
I was
other
laughing
out.
with the fact that the one day Scarlett came with, I think I did mention it on the show before, that Scarlett came with and we went to a friend's house who has a newborn baby and Scarlett was helping the baby feed the baby, change the nappy, was trying to play with the baby every time the baby nags or something like that. And then she was like literally moody by the evening. And then Ashley asked, what's her problem now? Why is she so moody? And then my friend goes, that's how we feel looking after your kids the whole day. She just had a taste of it. So it's
it's
so funny
hectic.
that it's but what I'm trying to say is that you as a person, these little things that we call everyday lifestyle
Life
is
in-
what gets us to a point where we feel
Yeah.
what's our worth, what am I supposed to be, my surroundings, what must I be aware of, and all of those things. And as I was saying earlier, that we got to a point in my marriage where we were like, if we don't change things,
Yeah.
it's not going to work out. And that was the very first time I actually voiced, like you were saying just now, it's difficult to voice your opinion when somebody understands it a certain way. It's difficult for them to voice their opinions if I have a past and I know, your ex did A, B, and C. Now, every time you do it, I take it in that light, kind of a thing. And things just don't come together. And then you sit down and you're like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel that my worth is in the kids? Why do I feel my worth is as a wife? Why do I feel you start asking yourself all these questions. Your insecurity, it's coming from this angle, your worth. And I feel like only then do you get to the point where you understand that it's not actually the things around you, because at the end of the day, it's what you allow to progress within your life. You are the one that allows your family to make you
You're not
the
setting your own
helper.
boundaries,
You're not
yeah.
setting your own boundaries. You are the one in the family that's not saying, okay, then let's work out a cooking roster.
Yeah.
You are the one that's just saying, okay, I'll always wash the dishes. It's fine, leave it, I'll do it, kind of a thing. And we take those things away from ourselves because we want perfection as women. I've heard a friend many times when the husband will say, I'll mop or something, and then she'll say, it's fine, I'll do it myself, because you're not going to mop properly.
Yeah.
Those kind of
Yeah.
things. And I feel like
You're not allowing
only-
them to do it.
Exactly. So we are allowing ourselves to get into this whole self-pity, self-whatnot, and all those kind of things where we're not aware about certain things. And that is when the destruction comes in of ourselves. And the one day I was like, whoa, that's deep, is I was also watching something. I can't remember what I was watching. And the person actually said, you know, I always say, as people, we want to always be somebody that influences the next person or leaves some sort of hope, or, all those kind of things. Just leave a positive light wherever you go. And this person actually said, it's hard to talk about life or influence somebody's life if you are not living life. And then that's when I was like, that's so true. Because for me, it took me in terms of my kids. I always speak about I want my kids to be exposed to certain things, to experience certain things. They mustn't just know something from a picture or a book. They must go out and see the world.
Yeah.
They must experience what it is. If you see sushi on TV every day, taste what sushi tastes like, and all those kind of things. And it really hit me when it said, you can't do those things if you yourself is not living life. And then that's when you're like, you're stuck in your house all the time. The only time you go out is to work.
Yeah.
Other than that, what life do you have to offer to the next person?
Yeah.
It's the same like owning a business. You can't influence somebody that's coming up in business if you don't know the difficulties of business, or you haven't run a business before. So that's stems in the same way with life itself.
Yeah. I actually really relate to that, and I think this is a good time for me to throw this
Are you
in
going to
there.
throw it in
Because
after how many
yeah,
attempts?
I feel like you're saying, you have to live in a way that you believe. And for me, I was in a relationship that looked very happy and perfect from the outside, but it wasn't. And I tried to convince myself that it was the right one. And I kept, like you were saying, you guys went through a rough patch and stuff, and I was thought I was doing the work, but I was told I was just enduring it. But sometimes you just work, and you have to get to a point where you're honest with yourself, and just be honest and tell yourself hey, this is not working. And why
No.
you guys are giving the listening eyes again. So what I was saying, the point of what I'm saying is that I had to get to a point now where I feel like I'm living authentically, and now I can be this person that inspires other people to be better, because I got to a stage where I even disappeared off the grid. I was I'm not feeling like myself. And yeah, I had, we set each other free. And
I think, sorry, based on what you're saying, that's why it's also so important, I feel, to have things and conversations like this. Because remember when it happened for you, and you came to me and said, the day you said on the show, you prayed your relationship
Yeah.
away kind of a
I
thing.
was like,
and you were like, I really took that in.
Yeah.
Because you're so scared to leave something for your own benefit,
Yeah.
it becomes a thing where you stay in.
Yeah. But we actually, we've been, when was it? Like 2 years ago. The first time you told me about that relationship, I was like, I relate. And it's so difficult to be in a relationship and tell people, I'm not actually happy. Because then it's like, people will check in like, hey, are you making changes? Like,
Yeah.
and you're just like, if you're not ready to do that, like I wasn't, then it feels like there's all this external pressure. So yeah, like if you are somebody that's in that position, like you have to care for yourself enough to separate yourself from things that are not healthy for you and not good for you. And if you're not happy, you're not happy. And another thing that like kept me there was like, I wanted this vision, like this is the person I knew deep down it wasn't, but I wanted it to be that. And I was so worried, like, what are people gonna say? Like, why must I care what people are gonna say? Like, I need to be happy. And the thing is, like, the people that I was most worried about, like,
Was the most supportive.
yes. And even like a lot of my family members, because it's coming out slowly. It's been a while, but like I haven't been out there like saying anything.
Yeah, you haven't been posting it.
Yeah.
Like,
So they were like very supportive, and like I feel like sometimes people will get to a stage where they're with someone and they're like, okay, I guess the next step is marriage. I didn't want to feel like that.
yeah.
So, because like if you're not happy now, like you guys are saying, oh, marriage is not going to make you happy or change anything. It's just a continuation, like
Of
I think
what was
Anka said.
happening.
Yeah.
It becomes a situation of stuck in love. Like, I am here.
Yeah.
The next step is that. So, okay, let's get over with it. It's like, nah, I'm
Yes.
done
Yeah,
with
and a lot of people say maybe it will change, maybe it will bring the spice back, maybe it will
won't.
bring the love back, maybe it will bring the.
It absolutely won't, because now you need to make it work. Because
Yeah.
now there's other factors, and don't put a child in there in a situation like that. That makes it spiral completely out of control. And there's so many times in counseling where you see this, and a lot of the times, I mean, I was in a relationship before Xavier, but it was like, I can't compare it to you guys.
Yeah.
That you call it vibing, and compared to you guys is
It's like you in your movies. We need to see the end.
I
I'm just
can't.
like, no, I'm done.
I get bored.
Contract.
I get bored absolutely quickly, and if something doesn't suit me, I'm like, peace, I'm out, deuces, like, you know. And for me, it's a matter of, then I was thinking, but his parents are so great, and they absolutely
Yeah.
love me,
Yeah, I
and I
remember
love
you
them.
say you
yeah.
were in the relationship for the family.
For the
Yes.
family, and it's like, okay, but when they pass away, then what am I going to do with you?
Yeah.
Sounds cruel, but
But you have to be
you
that
have to
honest,
be
with
honest
yourself.
with yourself, yeah.
And even like how Vandra was saying, like you said in your second year, you knew like it's done.
But how long did you stick?
5 more years.
Same.
But
And like
How?
funny enough, after we separated, we had a conversation and he agreed that like we should have left each other in the first like couple of months. And
And how long was your relationship?
7 years.
I've been married 8 years. It's my longest relationship. I'm married. I'm stuck here. Like, but I love my husband.
Yeah.
But how do you? I need to understand what makes you stay besides those factors. I mean, isn't because usually what happens? This is me personally. What happens when I'm in this relationship? I get everything the person does irritates me. Like everything.
Yeah.
They breathe, don't breathe. So
Yeah, and then you're just
How?
always aggressive with each other. And
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that way.
and you become toxic.
Yes.
Like you just
and you
find
only
fault with them.
realize it once you're out, like, shit, that was bad. And what was I going to say now? We were talking about something.
Sorry.
I lost my train of thought.
you were about the breathing, and she was saying.
And just before
Everything
that.
irritates
Just
you.
Yeah.
before that.
And also the other thing that I was saying is like you, where's it gone? It's like
You
always
were
about to
speaking
come.
about why do you stick in that
Yeah.
situation
Yes.
knowing that it's not
Okay,
for
so
you?
in my situation, the both of us, it was already like toxic from the beginning. We had like a connection, but we are fixers, and
Oh, so you
we
were
wanted to
missionary
help each
dating.
other,
Okay.
but we just destroyed each other. Like,
But that's what I always say. A lot of people, when there's a woman and a girl, they don't. A woman and a girl. A woman and a man.
yeah,
Yeah, please let's define this.
Reverse. A woman and a man.
yeah,
A lot of times we don't think this is actually with your relationships where people say I'm attracted to a man or I'm attracted to a woman or something like that as well. We don't realize that friendships can also fix
Yeah.
We many times think that if somebody helps me through something, we meant to be together.
Yeah.
It's like it's common ground.
It's common,
Yes.
and it's a big, big, big mistake and misunderstanding that we have.
Yeah.
That if you help me get through something or make me feel better in a certain situation,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean
We meant for
we
each
meant
other.
for each other and this is love.
Yes. And also, it all comes back to like the topic, like you have to think about yourself. You can't, because that's how you become codependent in a relationship, is like, I need to make sure that this person is okay and they happy and they sorted and whatever. If you're doing that for each other, you're
You're
never
slowly
going to worry
losing
about
your- yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
So it's more a matter of if I leave, what's going to happen to that person.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay. Because I'm trying to understand how.
For me,
How you
it
make things-
wasn't though. Because your question was, why do you stay
Yeah.
so long knowing
If you're not happy.
not happy? With me, like I always say, it was a point of not knowing who are you.
Yes.
You find yourself thinking, anybody you play with, not play with, but like in terms of I didn't mean it to sound like that, but in my
You
mind,
vibe with.
I was in terms of I was trying to say, like, even as a kid, you know, whoever you
Oh,
play
yeah,
with,
yeah,
your
okay. Interact.
personality, whoever you interact with more than what you usually would with other people, you kind of start molding each other in a
Yes.
certain way.
Yeah.
And what happens is that if you've been with someone even as little as 2 years, there's certain characteristics you take from each other.
True.
And it molds you. And then you start questioning, if this just disappears, who do I become?
Yeah.
Who am I now? What is my actual identity? All those kind of things. What do I now do with my spare time?
But it's
all
also
those things.
like Anka, it's also a thing of like, as women, I don't know if Ange did the same thing, but you start to separate yourself emotionally first
Yeah.
before you physically separate yourself, because
This is why men say women are heartless. And I keep on explaining this to Xavier. It's not that we are heartless. It's just we deal with it way before the time.
Yeah, it's been coming
It's
on.
been coming on.
Yeah.
And there's hints we leave and you guys are just oblivious and then we just leave you there bleeding to death. But that's up to you. Like,
and then they're like,
you know, and then because he says men's heartbreaks never go. Like, I'm like, no, women deal with it. I mean, who was it that made a song when a woman's fed up? Wasn't it R. Kelly or who was
I
it?
don't know.
Or-
But this morning I was listening to Usher and I was actually quite disturbed by his song because it was the very first time I listened to the words of the song, right? And what I can't
Which
remember
song?
the title of the song.
Yeah.
But it's something about I went to you and I asked for advice during me and my partner's rough patch, and I
Oh,
went home
Confessions?
I went home that night
you make me
thinking.
want to leave.
Yeah. And then I was like, you see why I say friends cannot.
Yeah.
You can't have that. I'm going to my
I was
friend
listening
for
to that song
advice.
the other day. I was like, he's
I was
naughty.
listening to it this morning, and the song literally actually says, "I went to my friend, and because we were in a rough patch, and you helped me through that rough patch because you gave me advice what to go do to fix my relationship at home. But now." While I'm fixing it, I'm thinking about you. So now you making me want to leave this relationship and start something new with you.
Yeah.
Actually, me and Xavier also had this conversation the other day. Can guys have good girlfriends or best friends, or can girls have guy friends? And I said, no. It always something
That is an interesting
romantic
topic,
always
because
happens.
I feel like there's a lot of divide when it comes to that topic.
And we always bring it up, but we never actually make it a topic.
I think we should make it a topic
Yeah.
because I've got some nuggets I'd like to throw in there.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay,
Next
let's do
topic,
that.
then.
But I really, for this next week, I really wanted to speak about the guy everybody hates on the internet.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's called
Who are you
that.
hating?
Oh.
The guy.
I thought you said no.
So it's a new Netflix. It's the same
Is it that thing you
producers
showed
of
me?
Tinder,
Okay.
the Tinder swindler. But this guy is like basically how he goes about and he posts your nudes and how he makes money off it and stuff like
Wow.
that. And those kind of things.
So we've got new things to go watch.
I
And just so
wanted
on the
to
ball, like-
watch that. Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie now. Ashley is literally my news on what's trending.
Is it?
And every time he's like, "Did you hear?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You better get Twitter." I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know
the
how
news
it
channel
works.
now, eh?
I don't know how Twitter
I
works.
feel like on Twitter there's I wouldn't say, initially I wanted to say there's a lot of bullies on Twitter, but I think it's just that people are so outspoken on there that
I've never been.
I don't
Like
feel like
I
it would be a
never
place
knew.
for me.
Ashley made an example telling me about, like, when we sit and speak about how we can make the show better and certain things like that. And then he was like telling me, I can't remember the person's name. He's like, yeah, if you can get to a point when you can get her on the show. And I was like, who's she? And he's like, you don't know who she is.
Yeah.
He's like, she's been trending for so long, and apparently she's famous, but she doesn't do anything. The only thing she does is she dances with lingerie when out the panty. And that's why she's famous.
With lingerie without the panty. Explain this concept to me.
As in, she has the tops on.
What kind of dancing?
I don't
Like
know. I've
sexy
never
dancing.
seen the
Oh.
dancing. But she's super famous for it. So
Okay.
she's not a singer. She's not an actor. She has no job. She's famous for that.
Okay, so we're gonna stick to Ashley being that person because I don't think any one of us over here can
I mean,
become
I'm
that
fairly
person.
like on the ball.
No, Uncle, please don't lie.
I'd love it if I get some support somewhere for something.
We love you, so we are honest with you.
You're honest with-
Nice
yeah.
one.
What do they say? There's a actual saying for it
About honesty.
about the love, and when you're so honest with somebody.
Because I love you. I don't know what it is, but it's because I love you that I need to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, before we change the topic to something else, Lucinda says, I eventually left in spite of my child and stayed with him for 11 years because I was worried about him. That's why I stayed for so long. Your happiness comes first. You only have one life to be happy.
Yes.
I fully agree with that, but there's some people that take it too far. We always speak about somebody. I'm not going to mention the person's name because I don't want to bash her in any way. But this, I don't even know how to put it that it doesn't sound ugly, but you're going to know who I'm speaking about now. Is she got married in February, right?
Okay.
And she's already in her second marriage. Was it last month or this month?
I think it's last month.
With the whole I need to be happy kind of a thing. But I'm saying be careful when you do that, because year is 2022 and she's already been married twice
In the same year.
in the
I'm
same
all for
year.
that.
No, then I'm saying get to know your person, like we're saying with the red flags beforehand and everything,
Yeah.
those kind of things. There's a big, also something that's happening now is the divorce rates. I'm not speaking to, sorry Lucinda, I'm not in any way saying based on your topic, I'm just bringing another side to it, that we do this whole self-love thing so
Yeah.
much. You were saying just now that there's no balance. Self-love is so important, but we're taking it through the duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
In
just becoming
certain
selfish.
aspects where it becomes selfish, that even this person that's now in her second marriage, it only lasted a month where she posted her husband, and the husband is now again like nowhere
The
to
first
be
husband.
seen. No, the
Second
second
husband.
husband
Oh.
is like again nowhere to be seen. So now you ask yourself, are we so entitled to self-love that we don't think about our actions other than this is
Yeah.
how I'm loving myself right now?
I feel like that's an interesting one because, like, in my situation, I checked out emotionally a very long time ago. And maybe it's too soon to mention, but like, I have met someone and I feel like I haven't known him that long, but I feel like I'm marrying this person. Sometimes you just know.
You do know.
But see, now that happened to me. I left like I say, I was out of my relationship like years ago.
Yeah.
And then we broke up in June. By November, I was with my husband. We were together for 5 months.
And you got
you're gonna
married.
And we
Engaged.
got married.
Yes.
We got engaged.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But
They were
we
told to wait. They were going to get married the next month. They were told to wait.
So there's certain things.
There's no rules when it comes to love.
There
Like
is
I
no
don't
rules.
I don't know what her story is, but
But for me, basically, even the way she does it, and Lucinda says she's like a celebrity. I blame social media. I do too. I
Yeah.
feel she did do it for social media because she's become this.
oh, she knows who
whole-
you're speaking about.
No, I don't think she knows.
I don't
who,
know.
but-
Who
but
is
but
this?
she's not off
Is she a
track.
real
She's not
person?
off track.
No, this is a real person.
It's a
She's
real
very well
person.
known.
Yeah.
In South Africa, yes. She's well known. The thing is just that it is
And
a
she's
thing.
young. She's not even 25
No,
yet.
yeah, she's very young.
Okay.
The thing is just that when you throw marriage into the dynamics, statistically it's proven to the spouse rather needs to die than a divorce. A divorce is extremely messy. People who go through a divorce generally don't want to go through a divorce because it's lacquer. They don't want to go. It's
And
just
expensive.
It's expensive. There's a lot of dynamics to it. So why are we not dating? Why are we not getting to know each other?
First.
Then just getting married. So I was the way I got married to my husband, and then I got to know him.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
one
gonna
of
say,
those.
like, can't
I'm
you
one
do
of
it
those.
like that sometimes?
You can.
But like you say, you have that instinct.
First of all,
Yeah.
Second of all, do your background checks, girl. Like, know that you know that you know that you know. Marriage is not something that you just do because for the gram.
Based on you saying that, did you see there was a time also where that girl overseas somewhere was trending so much because how she reacted to a news broadcast? So what happened was her sister went missing.
Yes, I saw that.
And then
she's like, I told her.
I told her,
Oh, yes,
go check
yes.
him. I told him,
Yeah,
check his
yeah,
background. I told him. So I'm not going to go look for her because
Yeah.
I warned her.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I
I
saw
know it
that.
was her sister. Wow, I thought it was a friend of hers.
No, it was a sister. But
She's like, I don't even want to look for her.
She's like, I'm not going to
but
look for her.
it's truth, like I won't recommend what I did to everyone, because the reality of the matter is you do need to check out this person, because me and Xavier had a different base that we got married on. We have a no divorce policy. We don't even mention divorce in conversation. The word divorce, we don't throw it around jokingly. It's not an option for us.
Yeah.
So there's one principle in our marriage that stuck. And believe you me, I've said this 100 million times before. My first 2 years of marriage was absolutely atrocious. I wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And if you're marrying someone that does not have the same core value, you're not gonna stick it
Yeah.
out. Then you guys are just gonna walk out of
There's
it.
like a specific foundation, I feel, that needs to be there. Like you were saying, values, same
values and
morals.
morals you
Yeah.
sorted.
know-
Other things can come.
other things, and I think this is where the Bible speaks about being equally yoked. For me personally, that's where that comes in, because even in church circles, if you guys don't have the same leveling, then you have so many divorce cases going around, and it's not a walk in the park. It absolutely, and it becomes, especially if the other person is still extremely in love with you. Xavier asked me the other day, is it better for the person to die, or if you just divorce and just leave the person? It's been proven moreover, because if the person that is still in love gets to see this person being in love with someone else, it is the most torturous thing to do. So what I'm saying is that, and there's so many dynamics to a relationship. There's ties, there's soul ties, there's emotional ties. There's just so many things going. Get to know each other to see, and guys, man, be real with each
I want to
other.
ask you now. I want to ask you. So basically, from the Bible side, now, because you're bringing in the Bible now. I'm being clear now. I'm being clear now.
Why does he give her the brief?
So basically, you're bringing in the Bible now, and the Bible tells us, like, basically, divorce is only okay when there's
adultery.
Right?
Okay.
In the 21st century, we're seeing gender-based violence happening so much more, and certain things like that. I'm asking you based on the fact that there's a lot of women watching, like, I don't know what's Lucinda's reasons for leaving a marriage, but 11 years to be unhappy is a lot of years to be unhappy. So in terms of just not the kid, just not me staying for the kid, but other reasons in the 21st century, there is things, and obviously adultery, a lot of people is misunderstanding adultery to be the actual act,
Yeah.
as where social media is making it difficult. If my partner's
Bible
watching
says if
porn,
you think it, you've done it.
exactly, if my partner's watching
yeah.
porn the whole time, how does that make me feel as a person? We have
That to
the
me is
gender-based
adultery, yeah.
violence. You have the fact that what if your partner is just not giving a 10 cents into your relationship? You are basically roommates. What's your advice then for somebody that is going through something like that?
For me, if there's abuse involved, leave. I'm sorry, I'm unapologetic about that. There's been too many murder cases where women really are just being murdered, and they go through the most. For me, if there's abuse in the story, and yes, emotional abuse as well. There's certain things that's just not that you should just not allow in your space. Go for counseling. I'll say go for counseling first. See what can be done. If there's no change done, especially when there's abuse involved, emotional abuse is something that I think is very underrated. A lot
It's
of
so dangerous.
it's extremely dangerous, and women do crazy things because they've been abused emotionally into that pulp.
Can I just jump in there quickly? There was a lady that was talking about this analogy about this frog in boiling water. And she said that if the water's already boiling and you
my
put the
favorite
frog
analogy.
in, they're gonna jump out immediately. But if you put the frog in like cold or lukewarm water and leave it while
it
it's
up
boiling,
slowly.
yes, the frog will end up dying because they don't realize
That it's getting warm.
that it's
too hot.
getting too hot. And I think that is the case, especially with like emotional and mental abuse, because it's so obvious to if somebody's gonna come up to you and like smack you in the face. But if they're getting into your mind and making you feel a certain way about yourself and making you feel worthless, how do you get
How do
through
you
that?
deal? And I think that's important, where the person needs to come to a point of being self-aware, which is where counseling and all of that stuff come into play. However, there is only so much you can do. For us, what we always say in our counseling is that divorce is the very, very, very last resort. I'm not saying it's not on the table, because if this person is busy abusing me, or this person is busy with adulterous things, and a lot of people don't even leave when the person is being,
There's
committed.
forgiveness.
There's forgiveness. I'm all for that. But when there's such toxic behavior where it becomes physically harmful, I'd say, why are we here? Why are we here? Because I'm nobody's martyr. I'm going to leave. And also a lot of people stay, like you say, for the children. Sometimes that relationship is so toxic that it does so much more harm to the
To the
child
kids, yeah.
than it is, rather than being separated and it being more healthier. I'm all for the concept of a mother and a father with the children. But if there's other dynamics at play, and I know of a lady who just couldn't be with her husband because he was that narcissistic, and he doesn't give two hoots about his child, and she left. And that child is in a healthier state. So there's a lot more dynamics that go. It's not just a matter of there's no divorce, but at the same time, if we're going to get married twice in a year, I mean, there needs to be a standard.
You need to look at yourself
You
also and
need to
be
look at-
like,
there needs to be balance in that space, yeah.
but
Can't we have her on the show?
I don't know if she will
I
be
don't-
open, because when people asked her what happened to the first husband, she came with all the excuses in the world. That was very blunt. So
I just feel like when it comes to things like that, I always like to try and understand, because I feel like there's no blueprint when it comes to things like that. Like everybody's experience is so different.
I understand that, but also we speaking about self now. You also need to do some self
Introspection.
in terms of what is it that I want, because you can't be marrying every person you then meet afterwards.
What if like the first husband was like abusing her and the second one was a knight in shining armor?
We don't get married 3 months after we get divorced. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because it's the same. Yeah, you were even saying earlier, you mentally leave something so long ago. How do you mentally leave something within 8 months? You be in love in that 8 months and leave it mentally in that
Maybe
8
she's
months,
just like
and then
J-Lo.
fall in love with.
She likes the feeling of falling in love. Or was that Elizabeth Taylor?
Could be both.
It could be both. But what I'm trying to say is marriage is a complete different dynamic from dating or being with someone else. There's a whole different dynamic. Now for us, or for me rather, my personal opinion was the whole intimacy aspect. Now I do understand that in today's relationships things are just not old school like
It used to be,
that,
yeah.
like it used to be. However,
Or not really used to be. It's not as open, because back then it was still like that, but it was more secret.
it was more secret, yeah. And so when it comes to marriage and the dynamics and the papers you sign, there's legal things involved, there's finances involved, there's there's families and stuff involved. And this is it also gets like that when you're very intimate with a boyfriend or something. Then there's like leaving is just so much more difficult. I mean, I don't know, I don't want to put you on blast or like, but for you it took a while. You were checked out emotionally, but now you're letting the other family members know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like a slow process. Now imagine that with divorce. Like you guys were married, you meant to be together. Everyone is, but they're together. They must be together. They married.
Yeah.
The dynamic is different. Now, if it's like that for you, imagine in marriage. You know.
I still feel like I'm ready to get married though.
You still feel?
If I come here with my wedding ring in a few weeks, don't be surprised.
I mean,
You won't be surprised.
we won't be surprised because hers was quick like that. I mean, I met Xavier June. The next month I was engaged, and 9 months later I was married. And I didn't know this man from a bar of soap.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
So there's no judgment. I
Yeah.
believe in fairy tales. I mean, it's there for me.
Yeah.
But then just understand that when people do these things, I'm a big advocate for marriage, but when you do these things, know that there is common ground, that your value systems are the same.
Yeah.
Know that who you're getting into bed with, because have you seen
'Cause also-
Crime Channel?
Yeah, crime channel is hectic. There's also you can have a sister saying, "I told her."
Yeah, I told her. We don't want that segment. Yeah, I told her.
And the thing is also, those kind of things actually play with you as time goes for yourself. Just going back to the topic, in terms of if you doing that, remember there's this analogy also where people say every time you sleep with somebody, for example, they take a little bit from you. Every time you get involved with somebody,
Even
somebody
just an
takes,
emotional
even
level, yeah.
a emotional, like even with a friendship, you
Yeah.
know how it is. If you have a friend and they take that trust away from you, how much more difficult it is to move on to the next friend, because your trust is no longer there, or you see traits that you didn't like in that friend that you don't want in the new friend, and
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Yeah.
So much more with a relationship as well. But those kind of things, like we're speaking about me, myself, and I, those things actually develop you as well to who you're going to become. And who you are becoming. So if you're not careful with who you allow into your space as well,
Yeah.
if you're not careful with who you allow to be intimate with, if you're not careful with who's sitting with lunch and even just having a normal conversation, is it somebody that's uplifting, or is it somebody that's always complaining, and by the time you leave you feel down and suicidal,
Yeah.
and those kind of things. All those things work in the favor of who are you becoming. And I think that's where we also miss the point. We find so much wanting acceptance from
Yeah.
other people
Yes.
that we forget that all this accepting you, accepting this, accepting that, it turns out to make you somebody that's insecure. It turns out to make you feel
It takes away
it
from
takes
you
away
as a
from all
person.
those things as a person. But Jessie keeps showing me time up. So we have a few topics that so we were supposed to have a topic some time ago, and I feel like we went a lot into that. We were supposed to have love, marriage, divorce in March with Cherise, but I'm going to phone her again and ask, are you ready? So she was supposed to be on the show in March already.
Okay.
And she's somebody that's with her husband, but it's after the whole
There's a lot
of
water under the bridge.
water under the bridge, as in like hella water under the bridge, gets
Okay.
out of the marriage and stuff like that. And from her aspect, I wanted to bring across so if you are somebody but you're still in love and all those things, how did you forgive him that you're
Okay.
in such a happy marriage now? So if you are somebody that really loves your partner, but they have cheated on you before, or they have been indulging in things that we call addictive,
Yeah.
or those kind of things,
Okay.
how do you forgive and move on in terms of your
that
relationship to
topic.
turn into marriage?
Yeah.
So hopefully
She'll be ready.
she'll be ready for us. But we are so happy that you joined us this week again. Lucinda, thank you so much for all your comments today. We really do appreciate the feedback. It's nice when we have comments, because we feel like we're having conversation with you as well,
Yeah.
and you're not just listening to
Yeah.
us. So thank you so much. And then I totally forgot to announce the winners for Theolin's book.
Oh, yeah.
So please do go follow us on our Instagram page, Gabfest. I will be announcing the winners later today. We have their names, but I just never ever announced it. I've been coming with the books for so long.
Yeah. Oh,
but
they don't
we
even
will
know
do
that
it-
they won
No,
it.
they don't know they won it. So on Instagram, we will announce who the winners are of the
Okay.
books, and then get it to you from there. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us
guys.
for another
This
week.
was fun.
We
as
said
always.
off the camera, but we didn't say on camera, guys. Don't you think Anka Z looks so nice?
Yes.
Thanks,
I
guys.
love it.
Somebody
Confidence
that hates
booster.
her curls.
It's
I
been-
don't understand how.
That was the first thing I said to her, and I saw. I was like, "Wow, you look so
It's also
nice."
when she walked out and I saw her, I even did her,
Double
it's your hair looks nice, because it even made her outfit look nicer.
Yeah.
It's a 16 years of straightening.
I've
huh?
seen the outfit many times before, but with the hairstyle today, it just looked different. So,
Thanks, guys. It's a confidence booster. Thank you.
thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you guys next week again. If you guys do have topics that you feel you want us to speak about,
Yeah.
please do feel free to leave it in the comments. With our abortion
DM
week,
us.
yeah, with our abortion week, somebody did give us a little bit of bashing, not
Is
in an
it?
ugly way.
Oh.
So we are going to revisit that as well from another side.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to that as well. But if there is anything that you do think you'd like us to speak on, or you didn't really like the angle we came from and you want us to come in from
Yeah,
another
we're
angle,
so open to, like-
we're very open to it. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much
Cool.
for joining us, and hope to see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.